I'd just like to introduce Lee Cottier to talk to us about social media versus time management. Thanks, Lee.
Okay, so I've got a few minutes to introduce tonight's second option for your delectation. We are offering you the chance to maybe join the discussion, social media versus time management. For the purposes of tonight, I've given myself the completely arbitrary title, Effectiveness Pilgrim. What I'm trying to convey by that is that on a good day, I think I've maybe got my own act together when it comes to time management, but I'm in no way portraying myself as being perfect. I've still got a lot to learn, and there's certainly the odd half day or so every week or two where I definitely fall off the wagon. Maybe you feel the same as well. A couple of important disclaimers. I'm a rather unusual choice maybe as a speaker for Prism, in the sense that my day job has got absolutely nothing to do with social media at all. Okay, so please don't come up and ask me any technical or difficult questions about social media later. I've got nothing to give you. What I am here for is to pose some questions to maybe let you think about some of the experiences you've had in social media, purely from the point of view as a user, consumer, participant of social media. That's where I'm coming from. And as well as maybe posing some questions that will continue in the discussion group if you visit us later, I'll tell you a little bit about how I've been trying to survive in the whole social media participation versus actually getting anything done in my life kind of equation, which is kind of where I'm coming from this evening. So this is my proposal as what I think is the issue that we could talk about. A lot of you here tonight are possibly entrepreneurs, you run your own business, you might be freelancers, maybe you're a conventional employee. Whatever you do with your working day, time's a really tricky resource and it can get away from us really, really easy. By definition, if you're here at Prism, you're either a social media interested, curious, participant or complete addict, okay? And I got a sneaky hypothesis that there's not always a happy interaction between those two things. Okay, so that's kind of the space that we're in tonight. Do any of these ring a bell? Are you kind of here playing in social media because you're not sure why, but all the other cool kids are, so you're thinking maybe you should be doing it as well? Maybe you've got a better idea why you're here. We'll talk about that in a minute. Is the fact that your browser's there poking you and tweeting you and following you and facing you or whatever else all the other words are, is it taking you away from what you really should be doing with your life? Is it a distraction? Is it a procrastination? Is it taking you away from what really should be on your to-do list for the day? So one of the things I'm sort of advocating is that with the exception of sub-bullet number 1, if you're on social media, you should really have a good idea why you're there and what you're trying to achieve. Now, hands up, I completely embrace the fact that some people are just on social media just as a recreation and fun. If so, pretty much none of the rest of what I'm going to say applies, okay? In which case, please carry on having fun, okay? But some of us are there for slightly other reasons, and I've listed some of them. Personally, I'm on social media because I'm trying to network and connect with my own professional community and my own day job. I'm there because I'm trying to build a particular community in another sub-project I have, and in both of those two, I'm often trying to promote events as well to do with those two different activities. You might be there for other reasons, or maybe a combination of those reasons. But I'm suggesting that whatever you're doing on social media, if you haven't thought about what your purpose is, you've probably got a very low chance of actually doing that right. Okay? So some focus on why am I here is one of the things we might talk about. So building from that, have you thought about therefore, well, how does what I do and the amount of time I spend on social media actually support that purpose or not? You know, with the exception of it's just for fun. Are you getting the right return on investment? Are you being too distracted? Are you being careful about your connection, your friending, your following policies in terms of remembering I've got that backstory of my original purpose for being here? Are you retweeting or tweeting the right kind of content in order to support that purpose? And even building further than that, as well as just sort of disciplining your activity towards purpose, have you even thought about any way, whether it's rough and ready or a bit more scientific, about working out how much your activity on social media is actually achieving or furthering that purpose as well? Maybe that's one of the other things we can talk about as well. So last two slides, this is how I've tried to cope so far. Okay, these are probably not unique hacks, but this is what I'm doing with my social media life. 2 platforms only, LinkedIn and Twitter. I think they work together really well. I get loads of Academy and loads of Facebook invites. I'm resisting them heavily currently. You'd have to prove to me really hard why I should be there. Having said that, I do have 2 different Twitter accounts. That may seem like a backward step, but the reason is it allows me to separate 2 different parts of my professional life, my main trade and another particular self-contained project. And I really avoid, like the plague, the always on, okay? If I'm disciplined and I'm having a good day, it's Twitter for 20 minutes at the start of the end of the day and a bit at lunchtime. The rest of the time it's off. If you're using TweetDeck or the other things, have it ranked down right to the lowest possible polling frequency. Otherwise you're always being pulled away to it. Reduce the noise. I've now implemented a very, very strict connection friend following criteria. If you're not in some way connected to or potentially supporting my purpose for being on social media, then I'm sorry, you're probably a really lovely and interesting person, but I haven't got time to interact with you, and I'm being pretty militant about that. And I've made peace with myself that I cannot and should not and cannot be expected to read everything in my timeline. Okay, when Twitter was all just open fields, yeah, you could read every little person's tweet, but now I feel like I throw out a tweet and it's like throwing it into some huge raging torrent of a river and it's just swept away in seconds, and that's it. If somebody happened to see it before it fell off the edge of the cliff, great. So I read DMs, I read out mentions, and then if you're lucky, I might have you in my secret little behind-the-scenes TweetDeck group, or my secret little private list of the people I quote really follow. Okay. Last 2 tricks and hacks. Some of these work for a while. I take the RSS feed of my own tweets into Google Reader, just because I've got a really good historic easy search to remember what the hell I said. When was that tweet about so-and-so? And this one of taking RSS of LinkedIn network updates into Google Reader, that worked really well until everyone started pointing at all their Twitters at their LinkedIn status message. So now that's just full of garbage and I don't listen to that anymore. So that's some of the ways I've been coping. Last slide, come and join our group if you'd like to talk about some of those issues. Maybe you'd like to talk about why you're on social media, what you're trying to achieve there, and how you're kind of sorting out your social media life to further that. But particularly how you're balancing that whole social media, oh God, it's really fun, but it does ruin the whole of my day and to do this kind of thing. That's it. See you later. Thanks very much.